Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to go over winterizing a boat. Unfortunately up here right now it's starting to get real cold. They're talking a couple inches of snow possibly tonight, a couple inches night after. So it's time for us to start putting our boats away. For you guys down south, it might not be quite that time yet, but it's coming for you. Today we're just going to look at how we can winterize our boat by ourselves at home and not have to take it in and pay outrageous fees for something to do that's super simple. You can do it yourself in a matter of half an hour. So we're just going to go over those steps quick and how you can do it yourself. First thing you guys want to take care of is making sure your fuel system is treated. There's a couple products out there. I know Startron makes some fuel stabilizer. Seafoam is a good one. The other one, a nice good one for a boat, is Stable Marine. All right. You calculate how much gas you have in there, fill it up, dump it in your tank. Very simple to do. You can do it before you go out on the water the last couple times you get your boat out. Otherwise, you can dump it in now and then just run it through on the hose. But make sure you run it for quite a while, because you want the fuel stabilizers to go all the way through your fuel lines, fuel filter, all the way into the engine and run through the system. So make sure you dump that in there before you even get started. So now that you guys have your fuel system treated, you gotta step back here to the outboard. After you open up the cowling, you're gonna have to gain access to your throttle bodies. So to do that, a lot of times they have this air filter plate on there. It's attached in certain different ways. Some of them have bolts. This one, for instance, just has these two little thumb screws, which I've removed for the sake of time here. So what you're gonna do is pull that off. Some of them may have hoses on the back too that you might have to disconnect. This one did, and I've already went ahead and disconnected those. Once you have that off, you have access to your throttle bodies. So what you're gonna have to do now is go ahead and turn the water on and start it up. Next, you're going to want to move back to your spark plugs. Go ahead and pull the spark plug boots off and take your spark plugs out. Helps if I go the right way. Go ahead and get those removed. And you take your fogging oil and you just spray it in there. Make sure you get a good coating in your cylinder. A lot of times they'll come with a little straw that comes with it. You can spray around. But after you do this, you're going to want your engine to turn over. Okay, so you can either do it by hand, by manually rotating the flywheel, or you can wait till the end and just turn it over quick. But you don't want the engine to start, because that'll start to burn the oil up. Another quick thing is when you're putting your spark plugs back in, make sure you tighten them all the way down by hand first. Trust me from experience on this one, because you can end up tightening them up prematurely if you get them in there cross-threaded, and then you have a great big expense of fixing that, and we don't want you to do that on a simple DIY job here. Alright, now that we got the spark plugs back reinstalled, we're just going to go ahead, just turn the engine over. We don't want it to start. If it does start, just shut it down right away. It's not that big a deal. We're just going to turn the key over. You got one rotation on it. It's pretty much all you need to do. It'll run the pistons back and forth through the cylinders, and that'll distribute that oil that we just sprayed in there evenly. Alright guys, we're almost done here. One of the last things on the list is to take care of your lower unit. You want to drain all that old oil out that's been in there all season and replace it with fresh stuff. Some people prefer to drain it and leave it sit all winter. I don't, because it's way too easy to forget about that. When you take it out in the spring, you might run it and end up blowing out your lower unit. They're not cheap. New ones run from usually $1,500 to $3,000 depending on your motor. So I just find it easier to drain it and refill it right away. That way there's no issues with it. To do that, it's pretty simple. You got two screws. You got one on the upper end of the lower unit and one down here way on the bottom. You're going to take the bottom one out first, then take the top one out, let it drain. Then when you go to refill it, you fill from the bottom, fill it up till you see it running out of the top, and then you plug your top hole back in. That'll help it prevent it from draining out the bottom. You'll lose a little bit, but that's okay. Then you stick your bottom one back in there. If it really concerns you that you lost just that little bit, you can re-pull the top one and then just slowly fill it from the top. So we're going to go ahead and pull this. One thing that helps out is a great big screwdriver. One thing I like about this, it's actually got a little hex head on there, so you can take a wrench or a pair of vice grips like this and really get a lot of pressure on your screw, because sometimes they get stuck in there pretty well. Depending on what type of oil you use, the color is going to change. A lot of times what you're looking for is either still a dark blue or a light tannish. This is kind of milky, which normally means that you've had a little bit of water get in it. So you have to look at the washers on your screws. Might be time to replace those. If you're starting to look kind of like this one, I'm thinking I probably need to replace these before next year. The other thing to look at is there's little magnets on the end of your screws. They're meant to pull metal shavings out so they don't stay in between the gears and cause havoc in there. So it's normal to have a little bit of metal shavings if there's excessive amounts of it, or if it stays in your lower unit grease. It's something you need to have addressed over the winter before you run it again. These look clean on both of them, so it should be good to go. Now that we've got your lower unit taken care of, you're pretty much done. You got your whole fuel system treated from the tank all the way back to the motor, and you're taking care of the motor from the top to the bottom. The last thing you want to do before you put your boat away for the winter is pull the batteries out. I know there's a lot of talk whether the cold hurts them or not. It seems like it does if they sit in the cold for too long. So make sure you bring those batteries inside, put them in the basement somewhere where it stays relatively warm, and then make sure you charge those occasionally throughout the winter too. The one last thing after that is how to keep pests out of your boat. The best way I found is dryer sheets. If you put them in all your storages, put them underneath your cover, lay them out on the decks, it'll keep the mice and other little pests out of your boat. So when you come back in the spring, you don't have wires chewed through, you don't have mouse droppings everywhere. It just keeps them out and away from it. So there we go, have it guys. Winterized your boat, less than an hour, saved yourself close to $100 at least, if not more, depending on where you get it done. Thanks for joining me today. I hope this video helped you out a little bit. If it did, go ahead and like it, and you might as well subscribe to my YouTube channel too. That way you can keep current on all the latest videos that I keep posting. Thanks again guys. Until next time, God bless and good luck on the water.